Hello, welcome back to Mack, Being Me, podcast episode 25, How to Escape the Mind today. And some of the topics we're going to be diving deep in today are the mind, limiting beliefs are the ego, also the identity, journaling, reframing the past, so actual tools you can implement in your daily life that can help you to reframe the past and also identify limiting beliefs, things that have kept you repeating certain patterns throughout your life, and also meditation. I want to do a meditation just to relax you. And, even before we start, I feel like this particular pod, I want to provide value. That's the intention. So I want to provide value and actionable steps you can implement in your life to start to witness thoughts, start to free yourself from the chatter, and also there's another opportunity. A door has been cracked open if you will allow it to. So I've already set that intention. If you will set your own intention to allow yourself to experience whatever you need to in this moment, that's a beautiful place to start and just see what happens. You'd be open to experiencing something more than perhaps just information. That's exciting too. This podcast episode was inspired by Alan, who's in our community, the School of Freedom, Break Free in our community. We've got a private Facebook group, beautiful souls who want to expand, grow, and better themselves. We've also got accountability in there, like a group chat. If you're looking for accountability, if that's something that could benefit you, definitely check it out. I do have a link in the show notes, and we're building it. We're making it happen. And sometimes, put yourself out there if you're looking for a connection. If you're trying to find resonant beings, then put your voice out there and see who comes back. This was inspired from Alan. He mentioned in our group chat talking about the mind. And as soon as he mentioned that, I was just like, yes, I love talking about that shit. I was an awakening coach for like a year and a half, and we dived deep into a lot of that. Like we had workshops and hours talking about the mind, thoughts, the identity, the ego, all different, parts of language to describe the one thing that you are not, but we'll get into that. This is what Alan wrote. So he said that he was in a mindfulness course, and he said, during this class, I discovered about the mind. We did a meditation, and I noticed when I try and meditate, my mind becomes a storyteller, usually the past and future. And discuss this with a tutor, why that is. She said this is normal because your brain is constantly trying to work out threats. So in the coming weeks, I intend to stick to this meditation method and bring awareness when my mind drifts and bring it to the now. It's interesting, due to past experiences, I'm always looking for threats or safety. Interesting. And it is interesting, Alan. I can feel it already. It is interesting, brother. And I'm so happy that you found this mindfulness course and you have a teacher. The mind. I really do love it, guys. I actually really do love it. So the mind is a tool. Right. And so if you think about the mind, it's a tool. It analyzes information, takes in input data, and in real time, compares your past experience, brings it into this moment, analyzes, the best scenario to the best solution to what is happening, right? So if you look at the mind as like a supercomputer, it's not you as such. However, it's a tool that you can utilize. It's just that we're in the habit of being used by it, meaning we don't really think. We're generally on autopilot throughout our life experience. And a lot of the times we're continually repeating patterns. Well, how do we break out of that? Well, the first thing is really to ask yourself, who am I? So I guess we can go deep into that. Allow yourself to experience whatever needs to be experienced right now, but you can ask yourself, who am I? And you can start with your name. I am Mark. But your name is something that was given to you at birth, even maybe before you were born. You know, I was thinking about my girls. Yeah, all the names came before they were born. And it was an interesting experience trying to find the name because, to be honest, like, this might be a thought as well, but is it something like the women love to find names and the men are just like, yes, no? Or maybe there's some men out there that really like to find names too, but knowing that the name, it's a beautiful thing, but it's a melody, right? It's something that we create a meaning to because it's just noise. And to think about this, say, you know, I'm Mark, what are you talking about? But who was I before I was given that name, you know? And now I think about Mark. Just for this little exercise, think about your name right now and say your name out loud continually now. And so I'll say Mark, 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 Mark. And you say your name. And if you can feel the meaning behind the word, well, it's just a word, isn't it? That was given to us. There's no weight to it when you realize that, you know, that's just a label. Okay? Let's come back now to the mind. So, the nature of the mind is to think thoughts, right? To analyze, to rationalize, and to sort through the situations to choose the best form of action. You know, however, as I said before, from your past experience. And so you might have an idea to create something. Say if you want to launch a program, if you want to create a community, if you're an artist and you want to draw, right? When you start that process, you have this rush of inspiration. It's coming from somewhere other than your mind. It's coming from beyond that. It's like that higher consciousness, that inspiration, inspired action, right? Inspiration. And that means in spirit. A spirit or a feeling, a higher power far beyond the mind, far beyond who we think we are, comes to us. We get inspired, we take action. And then, for my experience, once I take action, then the mind comes in. And that's when the limiting beliefs come in as well. So the limiting beliefs are things like, I've written some down actually, things like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success or happiness, I'm too old or young to pursue my dreams, I'm not smart, talented enough to succeed, I always fail, so there's no point in even trying, money is evil, I can't trust anyone, I'll never find true love, I don't have enough time or resources to pursue my passions, I must please everyone to be accepted. You know, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy was one of my, what I identify as like the foundational limiting belief that was like the umbrella where everything else just fell under, the sense of worthiness. And I feel everyone has their own experience through life, through conditioning, which we can talk about as well in regards to your identity. So there's a lot there, so we'll just hold on a second. Maybe take a breath. So the nature of the mind is to think thoughts. But who are you? Well, you know, I'm Mark. But Mark is a name that was given to me, but so who then am I? I'm the one that was given the name. That one, that's me. There I am. Infinite creative being. I am that I am, so I am. Before the mark, there was I am. I'll take that one, thank you. That'll do for this moment. And so, knowing that I am awareness, I am awareness. I am the one that is aware of the thoughts of the mind. I am the one that is behind witnessing that experience, or I am being it. I am embodying the emotion of these thoughts, the energy in motion, and I'm running around on autopilot repeating patterns, thinking that's my fate, that's my life, that's all I am. It's all what I've always known. However, no, it's something that you've actually created through your past experience, through your identity. And now you're labeling it as you, and you can't be changed. However, if you notice in life, the only constant is change. And all you need to do is look at the seasons of nature. Summer, autumn, winter, spring. Watch as the leaves fall off the trees in winter. And I love to watch it. I love to observe that. Watch as the trees will then bloom and blossom and the flowers come out in spring. Everything has cycles and seasons. You're no different. However, you might be just experiencing a thought, an identity, a limiting belief, embodying that. Because a belief is just a thought embodied, really. You're holding that in your experience subconsciously. All of this is happening in the subconscious mind, which I probably should address that too, hey? The mind, the conscious and the subconscious, around 95% of activity of daily life is in the subconscious mind, is programmed, is happening on autopilot, is us just moving unless you're aware of the thoughts going on that you could be experiencing. So limiting belief, what is that? It's an unconscious thought pattern creating an illusion of unworthiness that prevents us from living a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. So as I expressed some examples of my limiting beliefs of Mark's, was this whole worthiness, right? So I have talked about previously my childhood experience and feeling like I was suppressed as a child, in terms of like I wasn't really given that self-confidence, and I would often suppress my emotions, in fear of acting out, in fear of, getting punished or saying the wrong thing, because that confidence was just never instilled in me. And for a long time, I was a victim of that, and I was like blaming my parents for a long time, until I realized like I'm an infinite creator and I'm creating my experience. I'm holding on to this identity of righteousness, of, hey, you should not be like that. You should treat me like this. I demand you to treat me like the son that I deserve to be treated, Give me love. All I need is love. That's all I want, love and acceptance. That's a whole identity. You're taking all of that in with you, and that happens, right? Life happens to us, and I feel like this life experience is a school, and we're here to learn. We're here to break free of all of that. Because what is underlying all of that? What do you see in kids? What do you see in children? If you have any children of your own, or you see young children around in the family, my girls, they are pure presence, right? And that's how we came into this life, segueing into identity. For the first 7 years of your life, you are pure presence. You have an open subconscious mind, and you're like a sponge absorbing everything and everyone around you. So from your parents, childhood upbringing, teachers, experience, life experience, siblings, friends, you're absorbing all that information in, and your brain is just taking all that inputs and creating an identity from that. And then after the 7 years, it starts to form the identity of like, you get told your name a certain amount of times until you actually register, okay, that's me. Before that, it's all like, blah. You're just crying, you're screaming, you're, expressing through sounds before actual words and vowels and syllables can be formed. It's just, blah. For Maya, our 1-year-old, she's just the loudest in the middle of the night. It's, mama. Yeah. She's doing that, the dragon. And it just hits me, man, like my nervous system has not been built to handle that. That's from another planet, that is. That sort of vibration. And then all of a sudden, Maya starts responding to her name, Maya, which is beautiful because Maya means the illusion, That's why her name's Maya, I reckon. That was the most amount of input I've had for naming children. There was one other example. If we were going to have a boy, we've gone through children's names, and my wife has gone through them and suggesting, and came across the word Bodhi, and I just instantly said yes. And she's like, what? Like, you never actually just say yes. So yeah, it's interesting, hey? And then we looked up the word, the meaning behind Bodhi. I think it's like Bohdie. And the meaning behind it is awakening, which is very interesting. Very cool little segue. And when we come into this world, we are pure presence. Because we haven't been conditioned from our environment, from the people around us, our parents, teachers, society, our thoughts about our parents, our thoughts about our teachers, our thoughts about society, the thoughts that just arise. We're just moving in the moment, and I feel this life is beautiful to become aware of all of this, and then to separate from that and to come back to our childlike curiosity, as if to come back to who we truly are. I am. Before your name, you are I am. And you could say the space in between the words, the space that allows the words to exist, the space that is always here in every moment, that has always been here and will always remain. That space is what you are. But yeah, that's an interesting one too. And how I started to become aware of the mind, the thoughts, was through meditation. So, first of all, you have to realize what you are and ask yourself that question, who am I? Okay. Once that registers in your soul that you are an infinite creative being, you are all of it and none of it. You're everything and nothing. Here, there, and everywhere. You are the no thing, the no place, and you are nowhere. Which is actually really freeing when you realize you are nowhere, because you're now here. It's the same thing. And so that's the first thing. And then moving forwards with that, it's now embodying the fact that you are awareness and witnessing thoughts that arise. Okay. So the mind, its nature is to produce thoughts. Okay. So you can let go of whatever thoughts are going on, because you can identify with them and think that they're you, and that's heavy. Like, why am I thinking that? I shouldn't be thinking that. Oh, and you start judging yourself. That's a layer of it, right? But if you come back to the fact that the mind is a tool, its nature is to think thoughts, then so what if you're having judgy thoughts? Because that's not you. So what do you care whatever the mind is thinking? There's such an attachment and a righteousness and also a judgment that comes through, especially after the fact. Like once you're in a heated argument and things are coming out, there's emotions running. Oh, fuck. After the fact, then what's noticeable in my experience, and in my wife's as well, I'm thinking, is the judgment comes in of like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm a bad mother. I'm a bad father. I'm a bad human being, Why did I say that? I always say that. Oh, fuck. I wish I would just change. How do I change? These are all not you. These are all thoughts that the mind are producing. And the nature of the mind is to think thoughts. Right? And it's going to be a little bit of repetition because you don't need more information. Nobody needs more information. Nobody needs anything. It's a remembering of what you already are, what you already know to be true. And being that the mind, the nature of it is to think thoughts well, there's going to be certain moments that are going to trigger certain thoughts. So becoming aware that you are not the mind, now start to place your awareness, exactly what Alan was pointing to, as when the thoughts arise. It's interesting. Start to become aware of what you are not. I notice the emotion of anger in this moment. She said this and this made me feel like this. I'm having this experience. I'm feeling a tightness in my chest. That's interesting. And the thoughts coming up are like, fuck you. Who the fuck are you to tell me that? You don't know me. Recently, judgmental thoughts of like, come on, why haven't you responded to my message? This is my experience right now, guys. I notice in my experience judgmental thoughts when I send a message to someone, a friend, a text message, and I haven't received a response. But then I see what they're up to, right? This is the mind. I see what they're, and it's like I'm seeing you, I'm watching you, and you're doing things. I see you just recorded a podcast or you're posting some social media content, but you haven't seen my message. Why haven't you responded? And there's a righteousness that comes up, right? And it's funny. It's funny because it's not you, so you can laugh at it, but it's not funny if you're identifying with it and it's you. And then it's not funny. It's like, how dare you say that to me? But when you like pull back a little bit, slowing down, meditation, definitely. And I'm going to share a meditation that can help with this. We'll just do it live. When you pull back that, take a breath, because the breath is also the gateway. There's many roads to the mountain that lead to the same place. The breath is one of those roads. That could be it for you. Being consciously aware of your breath. So bringing your conscious awareness in to the present moment helps. Yeah. Helps a lot. Allows you to see what's really happening, not the illusion that you think you are playing out on repeat, reacting to life. You get to see it. So it's through the breath. And, many ways. One way is through the breath for me. Another way is being aware of what is happening in this moment. Taking stock. Okay. All the things that you are not. So that's all of the things, right? I'm aware of this ringing in my ears, which is beautiful because I relate that to being present. When I read Eckhart Tolle or Bhagavan Das, Ram Das, listen to a podcast or, a certain energy. I can feel this ringing. I can hear this ringing sensation in my ears. So that's a good sign. That's presence. That's good. Also, just becoming aware of the thoughts, right? So coming back to that righteousness in my experience of someone not replying to a message. And then the guilt afterwards, like, oh, you shouldn't feel that. Oh, yeah, but that person's doing the best they can, you know? It's like you're demanding something of them. And that's something interesting to witness when you are demanding something of someone when no one owes you anything, not even my mum and dad. They have the complete right to be as they are. They don't owe me anything. They gave me a life. Well, I must have chosen them as my mum and dad before I came into this physical experience. They gave me this opportunity. Plus, let's be honest, like they've put a roof over my head, clothed me, fed me, kept me alive, and educated me, taken me to sport, allowed me to thrive as a human being for 21 years. You know, I wasn't 21 until I moved to Perth. But tell that to my teenage self who was like, fuck you. Who didn't really have much awareness at all, which is beautiful because that past version of me was doing the best that they could with the awareness that they had. And, you know, so are my mum and dad. And they're doing that now, the best that they can. And when you have that awareness that, hang on a second, no one's out to get me. And I'm saying this like I haven't had those massive traumas of like sexual abuse or anything like that, so I can't speak to that experience. I'm just saying about my life experience. Like, no one's out to get me. No one's fucked me over, you know. It's just all an experience playing out in my head, created by the mind. And you can thank it because it served you in some way in that moment. It doesn't serve you now in this moment. But it could be your center in which you move throughout the day, subconsciously, could be playing out. So how to observe, how to witness thoughts begins with slowing down and dropping into a meditation. So if you like, if you're not driving, we can do that now. If you are driving, keep your eyes open. However, let's all close our eyes and just drop in for one moment. And take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. And let out a sigh through the mouth. And as you let it out, just relax and let go of any tension within your body, anything holding you back. Take a deep breath now, again in through the nose. Holding at the top. And letting go through the mouth. And now just relaxing into this moment. Allow the breath to return to its natural state. And now start to become aware of any thought that arises in this moment now. And start to visualize it as if it was a cloud. See that thought as a cloud and just observing it arise in consciousness and watch it slowly float away. Could be any single thought that arises. Could be, I've got to go and do that thing later on. Or, am I comfy? I feel like I should move. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's just a thought. It will come and then go. So we'll just sit here in silence for a little bit and observe the next thoughts that enter consciousness now. Okay, now just relaxing back into the body. Wiggle your fingers. Stretch. And slowly open your eyes, coming back into this physical experience. And that is one way to enter this moment, to observe thoughts. That's nice. Something else that you can take with you that has been a massive shift for me is journaling. If that's something that you enjoy doing. You don't have to do any of these things. It's whatever resonates truly with your being. And for me, it's journaling. And in particular, journaling about the past and reframing. Because I know my experience. A lot of the past memories were quite negative. The ones that I can remember, a lot of them have been suppressed. However, you forget about all the good times too. And I'm not saying like the bad times didn't happen. I'm just saying that your mind is constantly in survival mode if you're not aware. And it keeps bringing up or making you aware of the negative, right? And it's almost like the old school way of a hunter and gatherer, and all of a sudden like a cheetah, a wildcat just jumps in front of you. You're like, fuck, I've got to survive, man. It's almost like that. That's why. Yeah, that's the science there, 101 from Slank. Don't fight it. It's the nature of the mind. If you want to experience the truth of your beingness, in my experience, it starts with identifying those limiting beliefs, writing them out. I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. Questioning, well, if this belief is true, why? Why is this true for me in my experience? And then you can separate from it, understand that it did serve you in that moment, but it doesn't now, because you're an infinitely creative being and you don't need to be held back by that past version of you, because you get to choose. There's magic here and it's up to you to choose it. And when you choose it, you can reframe, right? So there's the identifying of the limiting belief, if that must be true, why? And then surrendering to the fact that this was me. Like, yeah, you can't fight it. You can't fight the mind because you're fighting the mind with the mind. Do you understand that? You can't fight the mind with the mind. You can't fight thoughts with thoughts. It's like fighting fire with fire. Burning down the house. Yeah. You know. You can't fight fire with fire, my friend. You can't fight thoughts with thoughts, my friend. You are not your thoughts. So what do you do? What do you do? I've just told you what I do. Identify it. Okay, this is it. These are the thoughts. Why are you so scared to identify it? Why does it stay in the shadows? Why don't you want to look at that? Why do you hide that? Who's the one that's hiding that? It's not you, it's the ego. Right, I didn't really talk much about the ego because I feel that that word it does have a bit of a negative spin on it in certain circles. However, the ego is your ticket into this dream, and it's just another word for identity. It's another word for the mind, the ego. It's whatever resonates for you. So the ego is the mind, your identity, who you think you are. And it does serve you in a way that it always wants to make you comfortable. It brings comfort, it seeks comfort, and so that's stopping you from actually growing and expanding and being your true infinite creative being that you are. It's going to create a bit of friction because the ego, the mind, doesn't want you to be that or do that. Naturally, it wants to keep you safe, and we're expanding through that, through observation, observing everything you're not, or through the breath, focusing on the breath, becoming conscious, and then choosing, right? You've identified the limiting beliefs, surrendered to them like, fuck yeah, I can't fight fire with fire. These are these, they are them, right? What's the worst that could happen, Well, you could fight them and you could continually experience them for the rest of your life and then die. That's probably the worst thing that could happen. It just depends on if you don't want to do that. So it really does come back to choice. And if you don't want to do that, you can choose. So you identify them, right? Surrender to them. And now you instill what you want to believe, what you want to choose. What do you want? What do you want? Think about that now. What do you want? I've written it down on my computer. What do I want? Ask morning and night. So I'm going to ask it first thing in the morning when I get here. I'm going to ask it at nighttime when I do my nighttime journaling. And just see what happens for you, You know your experience because it's yours. And then the whole journaling, I felt like I didn't really touch on that properly. Journaling, reframing the past. So if this is an exercise, if you choose to, think about your life 10 years ago and then start to write down all of the growth, all of the expansion, all of the incredible experiences you've experienced that has completely changed who you were, because you're not who you were 10 years ago. And you're not going to be who you are now 10 years in the future. But our minds won't let us grasp hold of who we're going to be because it's always keeping us here in survival, reacting to the past thoughts, right? Until we can separate from them and be who we're supposed to be, who we choose to be. Who do you want to be? So it might feel like this whole podcast is a bit of a riddle, but there's something happening that's far beyond the words. And there's a reason why repetition is present, because it's not about more information. It's never been about more information. However, everything that you'll see advertised to you is about more information, is about the next step, the secret, the 3 steps to success, the slideshow that you need to see to change your life, to give you financial freedom, to give you the best body this summer. Because that's how our minds work. Have you noticed that you get hold of that thing and it never gives you what you're looking for? It never does. Here, just come meet my mentor. It sounds like you want financial freedom. It sounds like you want this. Come meet my mentor. He knows the way. But you know the way. You do. It's already here. It's inside of you. It's nothing external of you. Nothing outside of you that can give you the love, the peace, the happiness that you are now. You know the way. It's a remembering. And it turns out those are the steps. Those are the steps for me. And there's affirmations, choosing your new beliefs. I do have a audio that I created. It's like a 4-minute powerful affirmations that I choose to believe. So listen to that morning, midday, and evening. Sometimes I forget about it. But I'm a human doing the best I can, and I have an intention, and I feel awareness of what we are, an intention where you focus your attention, awareness, is what can shift your life, what can separate from the mind, and experience the creative being, the limitlessness that you are. So, with that being said, what a beautiful place to finish. Thank you, Alan, for that insight about the mind. I love that. I really do. And I really do love this. And I feel like I could go deeper into just that, because like I said, the mind is going to want to take you to so many different things, so many different gurus, so many different teachers, the next podcast, the next YouTube video, the next social media post, the next coaching course, seminar, to give you that thing that you think you want, but do you really want it? That thing that you're truly chasing for is that feeling far beyond what you want. It's that feeling of freedom. It's that feeling of peace. It's that feeling of knowing it's what you are, far beyond what you think you are. So much love to you. May you find whatever you are looking for, and may you look for it, because whatever you are looking for, you will find. There is no choice. Unless, of course, it's up to you to choose. Goodbye. Much love now. Well, there you go.